Lisa Warren here, and welcome to my kitchen. Today we are going to be making juicy, delicious, homemade meatballs that are wheat-free and dairy-free. So I hope that you guys enjoy this family favorite recipe. We love this recipe in our house. They do not last long, and I know, since we are an allergy house, how hard it is to find recipes that your family will eat and that actually taste good. So let's get started. We are going to need ground beef. This is 1.8 kilos, but the more, we tend to make a lot because they don't last long, and these are a treat. Eggs. If you cannot eat eggs, that is okay. Just leave them out. At any point, any of these ingredients that I'm going to be showcasing today, if you cannot eat them, just omit them or replace them with things that you know you can eat. A lot of this is flavor and just how we've managed to keep the meatballs juicy and plump without having to shrink. I used to make the meatballs without half this stuff, and they would shrink. However, the taste is still there. So the eggs really do help bind the meat together. We also use oatmeal. Now, these are quick oats. These aren't gluten-free oats. We are a wheat-free family. Most of the stuff that we buy is gluten-free. However, we aren't celiac. But if you can eat oats and you can find gluten-free oats, because they are out there, use those. I want everybody to be safe. I know what it's like. We've had many trips to the hospital. Basil, dried basil, onion powder, pepper, fresh garlic or garlic powder, salt, and diced tomatoes. And did I say pepper? So, how I've been able to figure out how to get around the dairy portion and the breadcrumb portion of the meatballs is I use diced tomatoes and I actually mix them with the oats. So yeah, it's been a huge saver, and it does make the meatballs really juicy. So let's get started. All right, so first things first, we are going to be measuring out the oats and mixing the diced tomatoes with the oats. Now, normally we get like 2-point-something kilograms of beef. I usually go to Costco and grab the really big pan of it. However, today we're using a smaller portion. So we are going to be using a good 1/2 to 3/4 of this can, but we're not going to use the whole thing. If you use too much of it, it will actually become too juicy and it might take a lot longer to cook. But please feel free. You can't really mess it up. I don't do a lot of measuring. I just kind of go like this. So it's basically to your liking for seasoning. Now, the oats. There's about 1.8 kilos, so I would say almost 3 pounds, 2 to 3 pounds in here. And so I would say about 1/2 cup per pound. So we are going to use 1.5 cups of oats today. And you could always add, if you're finding that the mixture is too wet or too dry, you can add more liquid and more oats as well. We are going to use 2 eggs as well. But first, we are going to do this step by step. Figure out how to use this. I hate it when it did it. It didn't open properly. Just always be careful with this. It's very sharp. Alright. So, there we go. And we're just going to mix it up. So this will help create the binding that you need, as well as the eggs, but first we're just going to soak it up and create a filler. I don't like having fillers, but these will help the meatballs stay plump and keep the juices in, is what I found. And I've learned that not all fillers are bad. Now I'm actually also going to add our spices. Add as little or as much as you want. We like a lot of flavor, so I usually end up just pouring a ton of it on. My rule is if I could smell the spice, it's good. I'm gonna add some salt. And I'm gonna add some onion powder. Whew, that was a little much. We're just toying with the fact that we just started using onion powder. So we're, and you just mix it up. So we want to get the flavorings soaked in, and that way flavoring is throughout the whole meatball. We add it everywhere. We use a lot of seasonings in our house. The most annoying part of this is just rolling them all. Other than that, they're actually pretty easy to make. And you can make them into burgers as well. Like this is basically a meatball is a rolled up burger. So we're just going to put this over there. And now we're going to touch beef, the fun part. I have a cloth off to the side so I can wash my hands. Even though I'll be mixing it, I don't want to touch the bottles with dirty hands. So now we are going to add the seasoning. So I will stand up and literally I sprinkle it in there here. I will be covering it a lot. I find that I might have to add more as well as we're going if I find I can't smell it. So onion powder, like I said, you know the flavorings that your family enjoys if you're testing this out. We don't use a lot of onion powder. That salt, I'm gonna use the big part. Salt really brings out the flavor in a lot of things. And garlic, fresh garlic. Love garlic here, and yes, we use a lot of cloves. So it really depends on how big the cloves are, will depend on really how much. If you guys don't like garlic, just add maybe 2 or 3 cloves for this size. I'm probably gonna add probably close to 5 to 7 because we like the garlic. Don't know what it is about garlic and beef, but oh, it's so good. So I've gone in and I have cut out, oops, quite a lot of garlic. I have a press that I'm going to press this into, but there was a lot of small pieces. So you really want, we like a lot of garlic. So we usually try to aim for at least 4 or 5 big pieces. And we're just going to add it to our meat mixture. Those few of the smaller ones in here. And take it out. Add more. There we go. You can never go wrong with garlic. Obviously, we don't want to burn you out of there, but it does taste good. One more. There we go. Itchy nose. All right, so now the disgusting part. Oh, we forgot the pepper. I don't add a lot of pepper. So now the gross part, it's mixing it all in together. So basically you want to make sure that you are just getting all the flavors mixed in. You don't want to see a lot of this, which is just plain beef. You want to make sure that there is some seasoning in the meat. So I'm gonna get dirty, and I'm getting both hands disgustingly dirty. Okay, so it's just all kind of mixed in. It doesn't smell like much, but that's okay. We are going to end up adding more anyway. So now we are going to add, our oatmeal and tomato mixture. And I say to add this first because sometimes the liquid, it will determine how many eggs we need. I know just from experience that we're probably going to use 2 eggs. And so it does look like I had pretty much half and half beef and thing. If this is too much oats for you, add less next time. I probably, with this much, it's really hard to say because I'm so used to making a lot, maybe 1 cup, 1.5. It's not going to hurt the recipe. It just might take a little longer to cook. But it also, I find, we eat these for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So really, it's a good meal on its own, and it gets you all of it. It looks like a lot at first, but it gets really mixed in there well. And it's okay. The oats will blend in. Sometimes you'll see them, sometimes you won't once it's cooked. Here we go. So now we're gonna add our eggs. Two eggs. And we are going to mix it up again. But first, I'm actually going to add some more seasoning because I find I can't really smell it all that much. So I do the smell test. If I can smell the seasoning, then I've added enough. That's right. And I find oats do absorb a lot of the flavor. So we're just going to add some more. And I'm going to add some garlic powder. Just a little bit though. Just a bit of just to have that hint. Some more pepper. And just a little bit of salt. We don't want too much more. There was a lot in here. And now we mix it up again. Ah, gross. You could use a spoon if you want. I just find it gets more mixed better mixed, sorry, my bad English. If you mix it by hand. And you want to mix it until you can't really see the eggs anymore. So there we go. So it might be sticky. Just want to make sure everything's in there. And now the oats are blending right in and it's really hard to see them. So basically becoming one with the beef. All right, guys, here we go. It's all mixed and now we are going to roll them. The fun part, and this is probably the most time consuming part of all. You can make them as big or as small. The bigger they are, the longer they will take to cook. But I usually like to make a nice ball. And I like to use, it depends on how much beef, but we make a big pan. Now, I may need to get a second dish, but this is like a 14 by something dish. So you just take it up and you can make it pull off as much or as little as you want and just kind of roll it into a ball and then plump it in the dish. And basically do this, just pick it up, roll, try to make them as even as you can. They're not going to be perfect, but it just helps with the cooking process, makes it a little easier to cook. When they're all even, they'll get cooked evenly. So I will be back once they're all done and we're going to put them in the oven after. If you want to put your oven on now, 375 is what I bake at. So if you want to turn your oven on, I didn't bother right now only because it is super loud because we have a gas oven. So we have to have an overhead fan, which makes it really loud. So I will see you back here when they're all done. Happy rolling! Welcome back. I am done rolling. I've washed my hands and now we are going to put them in the oven at 375 degrees. Depending on how big your meatballs are, this is about the size that I usually make, and it takes anywhere probably close to 45 minutes from me. If you make them smaller, I would say start at the 30-minute mark, test them, and see how they look. You want a nice coating on the top. If you want to fry them, go ahead. I'm not frying these, by the way. I'm literally going to put some foil on top of it, stick it in the oven. I'm going to take the foil off probably around the 20-minute mark. So about half the time covered, I want them to get steamed and cooked on the inside, and then I take the foil off and I cook it to get them a little bit crispier, because sometimes when you put things with foil, they don't really look like they have that crispy coating. So you really do want to get a coating on the top, and I will show you that when we come back. So, all right, we will see you back very soon. See you soon. Welcome back. So the meatballs are out of the oven. Well, these ones are. I actually had to put the other pan back in just a little bit longer. It was a bigger pan, so they take a little bit longer sometimes to cook. But notice how there is a nice coating around the crispy. So I did cook it with the foil for about 20-25 minutes. And I took the foil off just to let them bake and get the nice crispy coating. So when we cut through, you'll notice that there is no pink. So I usually cut the middle one. So there is no pink in there. These guys are done. You can see the steam. They are hot. And these guys are done. And they are juicy. So I hope you guys enjoy our family favorite recipe, homemade meatballs, wheat-free, dairy-free. And let us know if you try them out. Let me know how you like them and how your family like them. So thank you so much for joining me today. And hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with more allergy-friendly recipes and just family favorite recipes as well. I've got 2 kids that can eat actually other foods that aren't totally allergic, so I do make a bunch of different foods. And so yeah, and we just have a bunch of different topics on this channel. So hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you like what you see, and let me know how they went. So until next time, you guys stay well, stay safe, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining.